The Cellcast is recorded in front of a live streaming audience.
Hello and welcome to another episode of The Cellcast. Joining me today is a man who, well, he just feels like a prince. Welcome, Jacob.
Yeah, sometimes, and then, some little brat shows up and takes all my glory.
But then he throws you your stick.
Yeah, that's true. Then he gets a little better. Okay. You're so mean.
I can't help it. Anytime there's a dog, I think, oh look, there's something. There's my thing for Jacob.
There's
this
a
week.
big stick for Jacob.
Sorry, my puns are easy because if there's a dog, boom, there we go.
Exactly. Why, thank you. Let me introduce our co-host. A man who just keeps running to ancestors for some weird reason. Welcome, Drew.
Yeah, that is weird. I don't understand that at all. But anyway,
Yeah.
We are reviewing today a movie that we thought was on Netflix. Thought was going to be on Netflix for a while.
Yeah.
And it left Wednesday. So yeah, that was a bit of a rush to get that watched in time.
Yes.
We're going to have to pay.
Yes, that was
pay to rent it.
Yeah, that was one of those where Drew texted me because I had gone to Oklahoma for a trip.
Yeah. And I was up in Linda visiting parents, and I got home like Monday and was checking. Like saying, double check that it's on Netflix. You know, because weird things happen.
Exactly.
We had all checked all that out back in was it February when we were setting this part of the schedule up? And I thought, let's just make sure it's there. I don't really want to watch it right now, but end of the day, I'm trying to make sure everything's good for the rest of the week. And I see, and the last day to watch is May 31st. That's Wednesday.
Yeah.
I hope Jacob knows.
I'm very thankful you sent me that information.
Yeah.
It's like, okay, let's watch Mirai.
You're gonna get that done really quick. And it's not like it's gone from forever and we can't find it anywhere. It is still available to rent.
On streaming platforms.
On the streaming platforms, but you have to rent it.
Yeah,
now. Pay your $3.99.
Yeah, $3.49 actually.
Whatever it is.
Yeah.
You can watch it on YouTube now.
Yeah.
If you pay for it.
Yeah, if you pay for it.
But anyway, yeah, we are reviewing that tonight. You have anything before we jump into the spoiler-free section?
Nope.
Certified fresh and spoiler-free.
Yeah, this is my first viewing.
Same.
I think this came out, in 2018?
Yeah, 2018.
I remember Netflix advertising it, but I just never got around to it. It was one of those like, oh, yeah, Netflix is always throwing anime up there. We'll have plenty of stuff to review. Because this will be around, when it went up, we were in the early planning stages of the podcast.
Yeah.
So I knew about this. I knew nothing about it.
Yeah.
In fact, I kept looking at this like, Mirai. What on earth is Mirai? Is this about the wind? And no one's going to get that joke.
No.
There's an old musical. I don't remember the name of it. And one of the songs in it is they call the wind Mariah. Anyway, not that matters.
Right.
So, yeah, I thought this was an interesting film. It's not the kind of thing I would normally watch, I don't think, because it's just a little... It kind of has feelings of Miyazaki.
It does.
In a way, but it goes full Hosuda by the end of it.
Yes, agreed.
But I think, it's not the kind of thing I would normally watch myself, just because it's all... You're watching a movie about a young boy.
Yeah.
Getting into trouble. It's like, I don't know if I have that kind of time in my life to kind of devote to that. Unless there's a good reason. So, yeah. Mirai. Interesting little tale.
Agreed.
There was, I will give it this, and we'll talk more about it later. I did not see parts of it coming.
Really?
For a little bit.
Okay.
It was things there's like we'll get to it, obviously.
Yes.
But the first time we go into his imagination.
Yes.
And he's talking to the guy in the yellow suit. I'm going,
yeah.
I know who you are. Who are you? It's like, I know this. I go, oh, that's who you are. That's brilliant. Is this whole thing going to be about him and his friend here?
Yeah.
No, it's not.
It's
like,
and then someone else pops up.
we'll get to that. We'll get to that. So yeah, this is an interesting little film, actually. What are your thoughts?
Again, first time watching this, I think I was willing to put it on the list because I saw it and I was like, ooh, I like this director. And I realized, well, okay, it's who the director is, and I've always liked his stories to an extent. And this was an interesting little story. I thought when you get into the story, I thought is like, okay, this can be a really short film because you get this one scene where I'm not describing anything, but it's just like, okay, we get to this one point and it's like, okay, they wrap it up in a nice little bun. It's like, okay, that's the end of the movie. And then it continues to go forward and forward. It's like, okay. It's like, I'm getting tired of this. I think at one point I said, be like, I am disengaging with this movie already.
One of the things that will throw you off in the beginning of this is the fact that while there is a single cohesive story across the whole movie,
yes,
it's kind of episodic, and it's got like 4 or 5 episodes of stories throughout it.
Yeah,
it's not quite as episodic as, say, My Neighbors the Amadas was. That's the only other thing I can think of off the top of my head that was like this. But it is like 5 stories, and it feels like they don't have anything to do with each other.
Yeah, there's no interlinking.
Other than it just they all happen to come around at the same time, and it's about this boy
growing up
and having to learn to be a big brother.
Yeah.
And that it's all going to be okay, even though he's got a little sister now. It's going to be okay.
Yeah.
Which I have absolutely no way of actually touching with, if you catch my meaning.
Right.
I am an only child.
Yeah.
So
unlike myself, I have 2 younger siblings.
You actually can probably relate to Kun in some degree. To some degree. I didn't say completely.
Yeah.
But to some degree, you can understand his feelings a lot faster than I could.
I'd be like, if I would have acted like Kun.
Well, yeah, we'd have got our butt whooped.
Yeah, exactly. that would have been, no, I'm not going to go whining and crying off to the corner and do what I want. It'd been literally like, nope, you're getting a paddle.
Yeah.
Done.
I'll go ahead and give the special warning to Francisco of the Retro Rewind podcast. You will hate this film because even though the kid gets his comeuppance, he doesn't get enough of it to account for he doesn't get enough coincidence. What's the word I'm looking for? Consequences for his actions.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. The long black train. More on that later.
Yeah.
Is not enough consequence.
No, it's not
for his actions.
Like, yeah, he redeems himself a little bit.
Right.
At the same time, it's like, okay, we see, late in another section of the movie where it's like, oh, okay, we see another version of him. I'm like, great. Did he actually grow up?
No, he did not.
Apparently.
We'll get there. We will get there.
When do we get there?
Yeah, we'll get there when we get there. In fact, why don't we just go ahead and start working our way that direction?
Yeah, let's start, spoilerific this movie.
The following is a spoiler-filled review for the film Mirai. Listener discretion is advised.
I want attention!
We know. We know you do. Anyway, Mirai was written and directed by Mamoru Hosuda, who, of course, was one of the directors of Digimon and Summer Wars and Belle and the girl who leapt through time.
Go upstairs and look at this stupid picture.
More on that later as we go back through season 1.
Oh my gosh.
What was the other one that he did?
Oh my gosh.
I think it actually was all of the ones we've covered so far.
Yeah, Leap Through Time.
Which, boy, he does use the same stinking visuals.
Does. Yes, he does.
Over and over again for different things.
Hey, some artists love aesthetics.
Fair.
Be like, this is apparently his aesthetic.
Yeah, this was written and directed by him. Getting into the cast, Kun Ota, who as a kid was played by Jaden Waldman, and he played a little boy named Mendel in The Marvelous Miss Maisel.
Okay.
Kun Ota as an adult for what? 2 lines?
2 lines. No,
3. I'm
3.
sorry. It was 3 lines.
He has 3 lines.
Yeah, it was Evan Smith, who played a character named Zeno in the video game in the game series Legend of Heroes Trails of Cold Steel. Yes, that's the full name of the series.
That doesn't surprise me in the least nowadays.
The problem is there's one series and then the series within that series. One of those kind of things. Anyway, Mirai Ota, specifically the one from the future, because that was literally just a sound effect for the kid.
Yeah.
For the baby version.
Mm-hmm.
Of course, we're looking at English dub here. She was played by Victoria Grace, who played a character named Susan in School of Rock, the TV series.
Oh, okay. I'd never seen the School of Rock movie. I didn't realize there was a TV series.
The movie is good. I suggest the movie. Father was played by John Cho, and of course he was Hikaru Sulu in the Abrams-verse Star Trek films.
That's right. That's where I recognize him from.
Mm-hmm. The mother was played by Rebecca Hall, and she played Sarah in The Prestige.
Oh, okay.
The mother as a child,
that was interesting,
was played by Madigan Kakmar, and in the television series Bat Wheels, she plays BB. Yes,
I know there's one.
Yes, this exists apparently.
Yeah, Bat Wheels.
Bat Wheels, a television show about the Batmobile if it was a living talking creature.
Yeah, for little kids.
And it's like, wow, this exists.
Mm-hmm.
Yuko, the dog.
Oh my gosh, Yuko
was played by Crispin Freeman.
Oh,
and he played Alucard in Hellsing Ultimate. We have a vampire hunter playing a dog.
Wait a minute.
Yes, in Hellsing Ultimate specifically. I don't know about the original Hellsing. Crispin Freeman.
Okay, got it.
He does a lot of anime.
Okay, well, never mind.
He was a.
I thought you said Crispin Glover, and I was like, wait a minute.
No, Crispin Freeman.
Yeah, Freeman. Okay, just checking.
Yeah. Grandmother was played by Eileen Takei, and in something called Happy Holidays, which looked to be not a Hallmark Channel original Christmas film, looked to be something very akin to it. She played a character named Mrs. Richardson. Grandmother when she was the mother of the mom when the mom was a kid. Particular version.
Yeah.
Was played by Valerie Arem. And in the video game Persona 4, she played Naoto Shirogane. The grandfather was played by Victor Brandt. He was in an episode of Star Trek, the original series.
Really?
He played a space hippie named Tongo Rad from that stupid episode.
What episode is that?
The Way to Eden. And literally, they are hippies. They are 60s era hippies.
Well, it was made in the 60s.
Well, yes, but I mean, they're space hippies.
Yes.
It's like, they look like they could have been hired right off the street. This guy specifically, Tongo Rad, has a picture of a grape on his forehead. Like, drawn on his forehead.
Oh, okay. It's like, not a tattoo or anything?
No, it's not. It may have been supposed to have been a tattoo, but you could tell it was makeup.
Oh my gosh.
On that. Anyway, great-grandfather, who we, of course, saw as a young adult, fresh out of World War II, was played by Daniel Day Kim. And he is playing Fire Lord Ozai in the upcoming Avatar Last Airbender live action show.
Oh, I heard about that. Yeah.
And then the great-grandmother was played by Stephanie Shea, who played Mitsuha in Your Name.
Oh, okay. Gotcha.
You want to take a guess as to how many Kingdom Hearts connections I have?
Oh, I'm going to go generous and 5.
Nope. It is actually 2.
2, okay.
Starting with the Japanese connection.
Okay.
Tasuku Hatanaka played a male high school student in this. And in Kingdom Hearts 3, he plays Yozora, a knockoff of every Final Fantasy hero ever made.
Okay.
During the Toy Story level for the video game that you keep running around and seeing in the toy store. But there is actually a whole thing because Yozora is actually going to be a major character later on because Kingdom Hearts is like that. Also, Crispin Freeman.
Really?
Yeah. Of course, Yuko in this. He played Setzer Garabani, one of the Final Fantasy cameos. And he was Will Turner. This guy does a Orlando Bloom impression that I honestly did not realize it wasn't Orlando Bloom.
Wow. Okay.
When I first played the game.
Wow.
But that's this guy. So yeah, that's my Kingdom Hearts connections.
Nice. Hi, Paul.
Yeah. So what do we got in info and stuff?
So info and stuff. It has an IMDb score of 7 out of 10. It was available to watch on Netflix. Sad, but currently you can watch it on YouTube for $3.39 of all prices.
It is what it is.
All right. Production was Studio Chuzo.
Yes, Chizu.
Chizu. I was close. Chizu.
It's Chizu. That's actually the name of the main character from The Girl Who Left Her Time.
Oh yeah, Chizu.
That's where the name came from.
Oh, okay. I thought so because that's silhouette.
That's the logo.
That's what I thought. I was like, wait a minute, I recognize the studio. I was like, all right. So distribution was Toho. Release date. Can you guess where this movie first viewed? Was first
Sundance.
Wrong.
Toronto International Film Festival.
Wrong again.
Right. Can't think of any other festivals.
All right. Director's Fortnite.
Don't even know what that is.
Me either.
Where is that?
Very good question. I can't pick it, but it was
anyways, someplace. Go check it out.
So, yeah, if you guys want to go check it out, go Google that. At that director's Fortnite, it was May 16th, 2018, and it was in Japan, July 20th, 18. I can't get my years right. 2018.
Yes.
Box office, it had I don't even have a budget, so we'll just go from there. Opening for US and Canada was
Canada
$63,000 and change on December 3rd of the same year. Its US and Canada gross was $812,000. And its worldwide gross was $28.7 million. Home release, it hasn't had one yet.
Really? Yeah, because it was put directly to Netflix.
It went to Netflix,
and and probably it can't G-Kids because G-Kids has the rights to it. If that's off from that the opening correctly.
Yeah,
they probably legally couldn't do anything until it left Netflix.
Yeah. And so probably we will get
get a release here in the next couple months, probably. And Shout Factor gets on the ball.
Mm-hmm. And there's no sequel to this, as far as I understand. So
not unless you count Belle, because that would have been the next movie.
That is true. On. Yeah, Belle would have been the next movie. We were to review that. So if you're going to listen to our review of Belle, go check that out.
Yes.
It's definitely not a tale as old as time.
No, but it copied one.
It did.
I just realized it's not a tale as old as time, but it is a tribute.
It is a very
to modify a Tenacious D song.
Okay, gotcha.
Anyway,
right. So that's all I have for info and stuff.
All right, getting into the summary. Kun is a 4-year-old boy born to an executive mother and architect father. The family lives in a stepped house in Kanazawa-ku, Yokohama, that Kun's father designed around a tree, where Kun spends his days playing with the family dog Yuko and his toy train sets. Kun's sister Mirai, Japanese for future, is born, and he is happy at first, but soon grows jealous when his parents focus all their attention on her. He lashes out at his parents, especially when the father becomes a work-at-home parent, conducting remote work, while his mother returns to the office. After one such tantrum, Kun stomps off to the house's garden, where he meets a strange man who claims to be the prince of the house. As the man whines about how he lost all of the attention when Kun was born, Kun realizes that the man is actually Yuko, turned into a human. He finds Yuko's tail on the man. When he removes it and places on himself, he transforms into a dog. And literally, I thought that was the beginning of the actual story. And he was going to have to be a dog.
Yeah, that's what I thought. That's what I honestly thought.
Back up with Yuko.
Yeah.
That is, and then it just ends.
I was like,
what the crud? I'm going to mess this word up. Hina Matsuri, or Girls' Day,
Mm-hmm.
The family set up the traditional dolls to wish Mirai good luck. Kun's father neglects to put the dolls away after the holiday ends. Frustrated with his family, Kun runs back to the garden. This time, he meets a 14-year-old girl who claims to be Mirai from the future, whom Kun is able to recognize by the birthmark on her right hand. She has somehow come back in time, concerned because every day the dolls are not put away adds 1 year before she can marry. That is apparently a thing in Japan.
It is.
Future Mirai is able to put the dolls away with Kun and humanized Yuko's help. Kun's mother shows him photos of herself when she was Kun's age, but he continues to give his mother a hard time. In the garden again, he is transported years back to the past. In town, he runs into a little girl whom he recognizes from the photos of as his mother. The girl is angry at her grandmother for refusing to give her a pet cat. Kun's mother leaves a note inside her grandmother's shoe asking her for a pet cat.
And then
they return. Sorry, go ahead.
Go ahead.
No, go ahead.
And then decides to destroy the entire house.
They return home where the little girl dumps toys all over the floor and food all over the table. Her mother, Kun's grandmother, furiously scolds the girl as she sobs. Kun returns to the present and now shows sympathy for his mother, but continues to complain about everything.
Mm-hmm.
Kun leaves a note asking for a bicycle in his mom's shoes and gets a bicycle with training wheels for a present, but wants to learn how to ride without the wheels after seeing the older kids.
Mm-hmm.
His father helps him, but Kun seems unable to keep the bike upright. He goes back to the garden where he is transported to the past, this time in a workshop in rural Japan.
Mm-hmm.
A young man with an injured leg takes Kun on a ride on one of the horses near his shop, then on his motorcycle. Back in the present, Kun successfully rides his bike using what he learned. Kun's mother shows him photos revealing the man to be his great-grandfather who had died just recently. The family decides to go on a day trip. Kun once again throws a fit over his outfit. In the garden, he finds a train station, the Isogo station. An 18-year-old man warns him not to board the train, but Kun disobeys him.
Go figure.
The train takes him to Tokyo Station, where he panics after being alone. He finds an attendant who needs the name of a relative to call, and Kun realizes that he doesn't even know the names of his own parents.
Just for reference, be like when I was Kun's age, I think he's like 4, like 4 or 5 years old. Be like, I knew my father's name was Jimmy. I knew my mother's name was Betsy.
And I knew my parents' names were Mike and Carla.
Yeah,
because I'd heard people call them that over the years, and I'm not so stupid not to realize that was their names.
Yeah.
Kun, are you not paying attention?
No, he's too much whining about my life.
The attendant sends Kun to a bullet train, telling him that if he can't find anyone to pick him up, he must board the train and to take him to the Lonely Land. You know what? I'm just going to say this because this is what this, well, basically, it's hell.
Exactly.
We're going to send the kid to hell.
On a freight train.
There's a long black train coming down the line. Kun spots baby Mirai about to board the train and rescues her.
He does one thing right.
Or once. At this point, he finally acknowledges that he is her older brother. Baby Mirai disappears, and future Mirai arrives to take Kun home by flying through the air. They land in the tree, which houses the family's past. Kun sees his father was physically too weak to ride a bike when he was young, that Yuko left his mother to become a pet, that Kun's mother stopped liking cats when she saw a stray one kill a bird, and that World War II left his great-grandfather's leg injured and too slow to beat Kun's great-grandmother in the race that she proposed to win her hand in marriage. Kun also sees the future and discovers that the man at Isogo Station is future Kun. Back in the present, Kun, now more open-minded, goes on the trip with his family in his stupid blue pants.
Mm-hmm.
I say that because he was throwing a fit because it wasn't the yellow ones.
Yeah.
Kun, you're an idiot. You're a kid, but you're an idiot.
He's a spoiled little brat.
Oh, yes. Getting into the trivia. This is the first Japanese animated film that is not a Studio Ghibli production nominated for an Academy Award for Best Animated Feature.
I heard about this, yeah.
Makoto Tanjiri designed the family house to have stairs and different levels as a key feature. A child will be able to see the bottom room clearly from the garden, but an adult will only be able to see what's right in front of them. The child's view will change as he grows up. The name of the sister's character, Mirai, is also the name of Mamoru Hosuda's own daughter.
Really?
In fact, Mamoru Hosuda based the appearances of Mirai and Kun on his 2 children and had his children model for the animators.
That makes sense.
Mamoru Hosuda said that the film draws from his real children. He had no siblings, so it was a new experience for him to see the jealousy that an older child feels when a baby arrives.
Yeah.
Makoto Tanjiri, who I mentioned earlier, is an architect by trade who was brought onto the film specifically to design the family's home.
Mm.
And Yuko, the dog in his human form, identifies himself as the prince, when his name actually translates to snow.
So he's
a snow dog.
Yeah, he's Jon Snow.
You know nothing, Jon Snow. And that's about all I know from that particular television series. Anywho,
yes.
Jacob, what's your first like for this film?
My first like would when we're introduced to the dog.
Yes. Because I'll admit, I was taken aback. It's like,
yes, to his human
you?
form.
Who are you? It's like, you're in a suit. You're a proper gentleman.
Yeah.
Who are you, and why are you acting like you? I was literally thinking, is this like The Cat Returns?
Yeah, that's what I kept thinking. And be like, okay, so you get all these like almost montages of what's going on in Kun's little world when he goes out in the back front yard, whatever it is.
The garden. I'm just calling it the garden.
It makes sense. The garden. And so we get to the like who the house pet is.
Yes.
His
you realize he's the dog and go, oh, that makes sense. Yeah. And
the way he's talking about everything, it's like, wait a minute. He's talking about Kun's parents.
Yeah.
He's talking about when Kun came in the house and now he gets neglected. And it's like, okay, that makes sense. Because I thought it was like, wow, that was a really, really cool moment. That they bring up. It's like, okay, or Kun in his imagination, or we learn later it's the family tree for some reason.
I'll get to that in a minute.
Yeah. But somehow, what's the dog's name?
Yuko.
Yuko is in his own, doggy mind. He's a human. That it's a prince.
Well,
and I
see this.
I personally enjoy that part. So yeah, I thought the most of the sequences are very good. Let's say that.
I will say this, since they went with the dog instead of the cat.
Yeah.
This dog acts like how we assume cats would be like if they were humanized.
Yeah.
Because let's face it, not trying to belittle dogs or people who I associate with dogs.
Yeah. Hey, none taken. I think.
This is not you. I'm just saying, in general, the way dogs as humans are normally portrayed. I said betrayed. That's not what I meant. Portrayed.
Vile betrayer.
As kind of big, dumb goofs. Even unless they're chihuahuas, and then they are mean little snots that deserve to be kicked.
Hey, some chihuahuas are not bad.
I'm saying how it's normally portrayed.
I agree. I agree.
This is not a judgment on dogs. Canine kind has nothing to worry about from me. I am an ally of canine kind.
Except he's more of a cat person.
I'm a feline person. Anyway, I'm saying normally, if you have a character who isn't a pet, who identifies as a prince, it would normally be a cat.
Yeah, fair.
And Yuko, it makes sense that he would consider himself a prince in this instance. Because, I mean, he's a lap dog. He's kind of like the closest a dog can be to a cat.
Yep, true.
But what I appreciated, not just the character in human form, both his appearances, but the fact that if you watch the dog, after that, you could tell this is still the same person.
Yeah.
Because the dog is still looking at him like, I hate you, but I will fetch the dog. I will fetch the stick, but I hate you.
It's like,
I used to be loved. I used to get the good dog food, and then you were bored. Oh, yes, I'll go fetch the stick. But he has that look to him.
I agree. I love this character.
And I'm watching going, yeah, the dog is really pissed at you right now.
just a little bit.
Even when the dog thinks you're being
some of us are too.
When the dog thinks you're being a spoiled brat.
Yeah.
Then you might be a spoiled brat.
when the dog thinks it's a prince and it thinks you're a spoiled brat, yeah, we'll get there when we get there.
When we get there.
Oh my
so
gosh.
I appreciate not just I am kind of jumping off yours.
Yes.
But not just that moment, but I like the entire performance of Yuko throughout the whole film. Because there's never a point when that dog just breaks character and acts like, you know, a normal dog. He's like always in character throughout the whole thing.
Yes, I agree.
He's never a background element like so many pets are for most of the time they're on screen.
Mm-hmm.
He is legitimately a character throughout the whole thing, and the camera even follows him when Coon is being a nuisance, and you can just read what's on that dog's mind.
You know what he's thinking.
I hate you. You're getting yourself into trouble.
It's like, why do I have to follow this stupid human around?
But anyway, yeah, I appreciated because I realized that, here's the thing. I was watching the scene introduced to him. I was like, where are we going with this? Who is this? This is obviously the start of this is the magical beginning of this whole thing. What is I'm looking going, what's the shtick? Who is this character? Is this character going to be taking our character on a trip? Is Coon going to do something stupid that's going to keep this going? Yes and no. Because Coon does do something stupid. Except he doesn't go anywhere other than he's going to pretend to be a dog for, I assume, an afternoon.
Yeah.
And then he's going to go back to human. Granted,
I freaking love that.
This whole thing is in Coon's imagination.
Yeah.
This kid is like Japanese Calvin from Calvin and Hobbes.
Yeah, I agree.
Except Calvin never had a sibling. So we don't know how jealous Calvin would have gotten.
Yeah.
So... although Calvin was not a fan of girls. He was the founding member and president of the Get Rid of Slimy Girls Club, aka Gross.
My gosh. I think his attitude would change a little bit later in life, hopefully.
More than likely, because it's very painfully obvious he's in love with Susie Durkins.
Okay.
But anyway, enough Calvin and Hobbes here. Yeah, I love the dog and how you can tell throughout the whole thing. The dog never breaks character.
Yes, I agree.
Because I half expected watching this. At some point, the dog was just going to be a background element and was going to be forgotten about. I expected him to disappear from the story and never come back.
Agreed.
And he never did. He appeared when it made sense and was just not on screen when it didn't make sense. He was never just a background element.
Yeah.
Anyway, what's your second like?
So this kind of ties back in with what you were talking about. So we have this amazing dog who believes he's a prince. Well, obviously, he is kind of a prince, and then you get the introduction of Mirai. Am I saying that right?
Yes, Mirai.
Mirai's future self, and their whole journey in order to, because me personally, be like, I'm watching this first one. It's okay, that's cool. They cut to another scene. I'm like, okay, this should have been the whole story, but it's not.
No, it's
so then we get introduced to the more teenage Mirai.
About middle school, I would assume.
Middle school.
She's wearing what I would consider a stereotypical Japanese middle school uniform.
Okay, so preteen or like, preteen, tween or whatever. But so we're introduced to her, and it's like, okay, we've got to get rid of these dolls, which apparently are a Japanese.
It's Japanese tradition.
And we got to get rid of them before I can get married. So we get this whole elaborate thing. So the dog gets involved and Coon's involved.
That was fun to watch.
That was so much fun. I was like,
especially when they're trying to find the one doll's walking stick or wand or whatever it was.
It's on the father's pants.
On the father's behind because he sat on it.
And it's just oh my gosh, it was so good. It was so good. And then it ends. I'm like, okay, good movie. We're going to another segment. Okay.
Okay, now what's going on? Oh, the mother.
The mother. Okay. So yeah, I enjoy that segment. I enjoy the interaction between all three characters, trying to successfully dismantle the doll display for future Mirai. We're not talking turtles here. Mirai can get married in the future. For
it's similar to like the superstition of
that's what I thought.
Whoever catches the bouquet at the wedding is the next one to marry.
Yeah.
when you're that age, you can kind of, I can follow why you'd be worried. It's like, oh, we left that out for a couple days after it was supposed to be put up, and that's now additional 3 or 4 years until I can get married.
Yeah.
And it's like, how do you prove or disprove that? You can't. It's all superstition.
Yeah, agreed.
So it's like, I understand if you had a way to come back to the past and get it fixed, thinking that would fix your problem, especially in this kind of story where that stuff more often than not is true in the context of the story.
Yeah.
I can see why you do that.
Yeah.
At the same time, I'm sitting there going, why can Mirai do this? And do I trust her? Anyway.
So yeah, the 2 first stories I really enjoyed.
I'm going to be honest. I actually really enjoyed the story with the grandfather. The great-grandfather.
Yeah.
Because admittedly, I was thrown off at the start of it because, he's complaining about the bike ride, right? And he, of course, runs into the garden, for lack of a better term, where the tree is.
Yeah.
And it's like, and you see the glow effect that signifies we're heading into the kid's imagination, which the farther and farther this goes is no longer the kid's imagination. I'm going to go ahead and tell you right now. It starts off like I can follow that this is this kid's imagination. But by the time we get to this story, this is not just the kid's imagination. There's no way he knew this guy.
Yeah.
Not really, because he died just a couple days ago, according to the story.
Yeah. But he remembers him.
The kid's he probably remembers him, probably knows the personality, but does not remember him from this time.
Yeah.
And would not remember anything about this. But it starts that, and then all of a sudden you've got the engine roaring in your face as loud as all get out.
Yeah.
I'm going, okay, this is an interesting way to start this. Where are we going with this? And then we get the whole thing where he's showing him how not just to ride a bike, but to ride pretty much anything. How to get the courage to go out there and do it. And how
just look straightforward.
It's not about what is it in Lion King, I think, where I think it's Mufasa says it doesn't matter if you're scared, being courageous is being scared and doing it anyway.
Yeah.
That's kind of what was being shown here.
Yeah, agreed.
The father, this grandfather, I love how they never, you have a World War II-esque moment where you're just showing this is World War II. This guy was an airplane. Was he a pilot?
Yeah. No, he was on a ship.
He was on a ship. Okay, so he's a Navy pilot, and we know from that time period that the Japanese were almost overworking their Navy at the time.
They were.
Near the end. And that's why so many people did not come back from that, which explains a lot about Grave of the Fireflies, but we're not talking about that movie.
Yeah.
Literally, I saw that go, oh, Grave of the Fireflies. It's interesting.
Yeah.
So we're sure, and this guy's he doesn't feel there's no way this guy knows that this is his grandson. Grandson.
Couldn't.
No way on earth. But he treats him, but it's like he knows he is.
Yeah.
And so it's teaching him it's telling this important lesson about how if you're scared, it knows it and it's scared too, because it doesn't know if you're in control.
Yeah.
Yes, a bike, motorcycle, or bicycle has no way of knowing because it's not actually alive.
It's an inanimate object.
Somehow inanimate objects can sense your emotions anyway, if you've ever felt that way. You're not an inanimate object, Deedle. You are a thinking being. I know you don't move around that much. No, I didn't say you were lazy. I'm sorry. Can we move on? Fine. We'll talk about this later.
Hi.
I'm going to pay for that. And I didn't even do anything wrong. So, yeah, somehow, as I was saying, even inanimate objects do have a way somehow of feeling like they're alive, even though we know they aren't. That's all I'm trying to get at.
Yeah, which is understandable.
And so it's that thing of you can't be, you might be scared, but you can't approach it scared. You have to put that scaredness behind you, use that energy to propel you forward.
Yeah.
That's what he's trying to teach Kun here. And what I like is they show you he's injured early, but don't say anything about it. It's like,
it's just noticed.
You notice it's like, oh, his foot's turned a weird way. That's odd. He must have got injured in the war. And then later on, you find out how he was injured in the war.
Yeah.
And it's like, oh, okay. And it's like I love this little story because it's like it's understated. It's how you would expect a story with a great grandfather to go with a young boy.
Yeah,
and yet it's quick. It's heartwarming. It's this kid learning what he needs to know about being scared. And I think that's what I realized going through this is each one of these little lessons this kid is learning. It does all come together. That is the fourth thing going through.
Yeah.
He learns to respect. He learns respect from the prince. He learns the importance of tradition from Mirai from the future. He learns it's not good to be impulsive from his mother in the past. Here he's learning about courage. And I guess the fifth one is it's all right to be your sister's brother.
Yeah.
That's all right. That's y'all are going to be fine.
It's learning to accept.
It's acceptance. Yeah, there's a part of me that wanted to say maybe it might have been connected to somehow like the cycle of grieving. What is that called?
The five
steps of grief.
Yeah, the 5 cycles of grief. Yeah,
and it kind of I can see that because it does end with acceptance, and there is some of that with the not believing, the bargaining, all this other stuff. But what would he be grieving? Just the loss of being the only child. I guess I could see how.
Yeah,
as an only child, I can see how that would be a hard thing to want to give up.
Yeah,
because you get all the attention.
Yeah,
good or bad.
Yeah, agreed.
So I get that to some degree, but it's like, so I guess it is kind of that. The kid is going through that at the age of 4. And I do like how there is, well, I'll get to this in a minute, but there is like, you can tell this is not just taking place over the course of a week.
Yeah.
It's like over a long period of time, at least 6 months.
Yeah.
So yeah, I enjoyed that little story. I felt like it was the sweet of the 5. I felt it was the sweetest.
Okay. Yeah. Well, to kind of bounce off that idea of having siblings come into your life, because I have 2 younger brothers.
Yeah, you have a lot more experience with it.
So when my younger brother was born, because we are like, I think we're like 16 months apart. Not be like we're close. Be like it's like 13, 14 months apart. Because I was born in 82, he's born in 84. So one of the it was me like Jim was always there when my baby brother Daniel he showed up. I was about 4 years old. I was roughly about 4, almost. I was almost 4. I would think I was almost 3 and a half, 4 years old when he was born. And so I remember just being excited. And I remember just be like, okay, you got a little brother. You're going to take care of him. You'd be like, do this, don't do this. Just being like kind of regiment about things. But like, just be like, make sure Jim doesn't do this. Make sure this and this and this. Just being the big brother. Because it'll be like, that's what I remember. I have to, call family. It's like, hey, how did I act when like Daniel came around? Because Jim was always there to me. I'd be like, I don't remember much of like when I was little, but I remember Jim just being there, and it's just like he was there. So I can kind of relate to where Kuhn is like trying to adjust, but it was for me. It was like, okay, I've got a little brother.
Is what it is.
It is what it is. But yeah. So yeah, I would going back to your third like, or not second like. I'm sorry, second like. I would go with the grandfather story. The grandfather story of it's such a unique story of where it's be like looking ahead and not being afraid.
Yeah, and
obviously be like once you get into not the rotation, but in the habit of be like, okay, what's the main theme going on, or the main conflict going on in the main theme of this certain segment. It's okay, this character is introduced, this element's introduced. Oh, we're going to go to this character. I do enjoy, like you said, the idea of facing your problems and just looking ahead and not looking down, and learning not to be afraid. I enjoyed that element of this story. And in a way, I kind of enjoy the story in which the story, let me put that in air quotes, story of where Kun goes from being the spoiled little brat who can only think of himself to a young big brother to a little sister, and having to take that responsibility. And I enjoy that. I enjoy that out of this story.
All right. That was your third like?
That's my third like.
My third like is the fact that while they never come out and say it, that you can tell the passage of time occurs throughout this film. I don't just mean like the couple of times it jumps to the obvious past. I mean all the stuff happening in the present day. There are you can tell there's a difference in baby Mirai when she is just come home from the hospital to the Mirai on the way to the beach or wherever the family vacation was.
Yes.
You can, it's subtle, but you can tell that there's some time has passed.
Yes.
And then the other thing that jumped out at me, and this may not have been as obvious, is Mirai from the future's uniform changed between the two times she's on screen. The first time she's in her winter spring uniform, the darker colored one. But when she shows up at the end, she's wearing a summer uniform. It's like, oh, this much time has passed. At least 6 months, I'm assuming. Granted, you don't really get to see that in like any. You would think the tree would at least show some of that time passage, but it's always leafed throughout the whole thing. So, or in full leaf, you know what I mean? It's an evergreen, I think. So, I mean, I like that there was a passage of time. This was not. This story could have easily. They could have easily set this within a 1 week.
Yes.
And where Kun would go through this whole thing within a week, but I don't think it would have worked as well in that setting. They never come right out and tell you how long it takes. This is the story takes, but it's obvious it takes place over time. So yeah, I like that it's not done in a week. Takes it a good couple months.
Gotcha. Awesome.
And now that we've finished our likes, let's talk about how much this kid needs to be punished. Let's talk about the snotty brat.
Yeah.
Because I think that's going to be both our first dislikes. It's how much of a snotty brat this kid is.
Oh my gosh.
Oh my word.
It's like, I totally understand where, well, I don't, because I was never that kid.
I was never allowed to act like that.
Me either.
I'm not saying I didn't act like that. I'm saying I paid the consequences for it really quick.
Oh yeah. It's the understanding. You are so used to getting everything you want, like all the attention, all the love and the cuddles and the kisses and the whole bit, and then the little sister shows up and your world gets wrecked.
Yeah,
I get it, but at the same time, it takes so granted,
I think we're both looking at it as adults, looking back on this kid and thinking it's just like when you're like at the mall or something, or Walmart, or Berkshire Brothers, perhaps. Yeah. And you're seeing these kids misbehaving and running around like, who knows what, little hellions. Yeah. And you wonder, and you were not allowed to act like that as a kid.
Yeah, exactly.
And you wonder why their parents let them get away with it.
And you have and really good
and it's that same feeling watching this kid. Yeah. And he's our protagonist. It's like, you snot-nosed little, the dog needs to bite you. And I say that specifically because twice, mind you, the kid rears up with the engine of his bullet train to smack Mirai in the head. Yeah. And I'm like, dude, my mama brought me into this world. She can take me back out. I was told this 100 times.
Same.
And I would not have, I would have survived, obviously, because she wouldn't kill me. Yeah. But I would have felt like being killed. I would have got my butt whooped so hard. And I wouldn't. You don't attack a baby. I don't care if you're 4. You don't attack a baby.
You would have
with a train.
Exactly.
It's not a full size train. It's a toy train, but still.
You would have wished to Jesus to take you out.
Oh yeah,
yeah. With how much of a scold that would have been.
When you would have been when you were
the smacks of the belt.
You were saying, "Oh Jesus, come quickly!"
Exactly. At 4 years old, be like, "This is torture. Get me out of here."
I didn't mean anything, but I didn't want to hurt her. I was just angry, and apparently the only way I know how to deal with my anger is to attack it with a toy train.
Apparently,
like, has the dog ever pissed you off? Does he have scars from your toy trains?
Oh my gosh!
Stupid, insignificant brat.
Oh my gosh! I mean, like, it's understandable that you have something new come in your life, and we all do, and we all handle it differently. And Kun does not take it well. Again, he's a 4-year-old, but at the same time, he acts it's again. This is a story about growth and maturity.
Yes,
but
he has to learn to grow.
He has to learn to grow. We all had to do that, but it is so irritating. But we go throughout his entire story, and he doesn't change anything. We all the lessons he learned.
Very little character growth throughout the whole thing. Every step of character growth, he immediately feels like he stepped backwards at the beginning of the next story.
Exactly.
Every time.
Exactly. And it's just this cycle of oh, he learns a lesson and he immediately forgets it. And so the last story where he actually has to protect his little sister, and then he finally decides, oh, I need to grow up.
Yeah.
And that's a good thing. But at the same time, it's you should have every lesson, he should have learned something. But at the same time, he's the same snot-nosed little piece of crap the entire time. And I think, what is it, twice that he wants to attack Mirai?
Yes, he attacks Mirai. He goes to attack Mirai twice because he's annoyed at her because she's being herself. She's a baby. What do you expect?
And
she doesn't know what she's doing.
Yeah, it's this he's no longer getting the affection, and mom and dad are no longer listening to him, but they are listening to him.
And I can understand the frustration.
Yeah,
because at least that's the other good thing about this is, we're seeing this all from his Kun's point of view.
Yeah,
but at the very least, we also see the parents, the mom. She feels bad and it feels like she's not being a good mom because of how she has snapped at her kids and all this stuff, which has an effect. But you see them feel this is this is a strange film in this some degree.
It is very strange.
On one hand, you're getting these fantastic things coming out. I mean, the kid turns into a part dog for a portion of this. Yeah. We get this whole horror segment at the end with the long black train and the conductor who is 3D in a 2D environment, and it looks like he's actually stop motion. And what the crap is going on here?
And the train itself is a dragon.
Yes. And you can tell just by looking at it, oh, it's a furry dragon. That's what's weird.
Huh?
It's a furry dragon.
Yeah, that's right. It is a furry dragon.
So it's like the dragon from Neverending Story, except evil. Evil, whatever the name of that dragon is.
Yeah.
It's a weird movie because on one hand you see all this. It's grounded for half of it, and it's fantastical in the other half, and it's all scattered throughout the whole film, which I love.
Yeah.
Do not get me wrong.
Right.
Because we're seeing this little boy's imagination. Maybe. I have questions here, especially near the end.
Yeah, at the end where they explain it.
But they don't really explain it. We'll get to that.
It's a half explanation.
We will get to that.
Yeah.
I am a consumer of technobabble. I know the good technobabble from the bad.
Yes.
We will get to it.
Yes, agreed.
But I'm kind of rambling, I admit.
Yes. Fair.
Anyway, I like that it's grounded and fantastical at the same time, but there are times when it just feels like it's way too juxtaposed. Anyway, sorry.
Fair. So, it's just Kun gets away with everything. He gets a scolding every time he does something. It's his whole need, because by this point, he's learned a lot of really good lessons throughout the entire movie. And the last one is they're going on vacation, and he throws the biggest hissy fit because he
over shorts,
over yellow shorts, over blue shorts,
because the yellow shorts are in the dryer.
Yeah, which granted, kids do that.
Yes, And in my mind, it's like, well, the dryer does stop before they leave.
Yes.
And it's not that they were waiting for it to stop.
Yeah.
Or he was, when he threw his hissy fit and ran around the house.
Yeah.
That actually caused the family to stop. No, they were still, the
they were
parents were still loading the car.
Yeah. Because
the whole time.
Again, this is primarily, I would think it's primarily in Coon's mind.
Yeah.
It's his overactive imagination.
But the fact that, and this is one thing I like. I think it's the first time we get proof that Coon is learning something, not just saving
Mirai,
Imagine Baby, not just having Imagine Baby Mirai from the long black dragon train. He has a chance to finally get what he wants.
Yeah,
first time in the movie, he actually has a chance to get what he wants.
Mm-hmm.
The yellow stupid shorts. They're out of the dryer. They're ready to go. He's taking his blue pants off to switch to the yellow ones, and he puts the blue ones back on and goes out and has fun because he realizes it's not important.
Yeah, exactly.
He finally grew an inch character-wise.
Yeah.
At the end of the film, it's like, why didn't you grow this much before? Couldn't we had a long period of growth? Why did it have to be the last minute? But
yeah.
Anyway.
So I would say be like, this was my first like, and I think what you have all kind of
our first,
you wrapped up in
dislike.
That was your first like. So going into my second like,
what is your second dislike?
Does Coon ever grow as a character? But like, granted, we just talked about like he grows about an inch, a fraction of an inch as a character.
Yeah,
and then we see his future self who's just sitting there on the train, grumpy about everything. Now, granted, he's a teenager. I get it. Teenagers can be grumps.
And I can imagine
their goth, their goth mode, and they can get really grumpy and gripey about everything. Because teenagers are teenagers. I went through that.
I have a theory.
Okay,
but we'll get to it later.
Okay,
because I have to gripe about that dumb tree first.
Yeah, I'll get there when I get there. But it's just like, okay, and then we see like he just like you have this upbeat, chipper Mirai, right?
Yes, Mirai.
Thank you, because I'm always afraid I'm saying the wrong word. Mirai is just like, you
have not gotten anywhere near saying it wrong so far. So kudos.
Good. Thank you. I appreciate that. I can say a word every once in a while. That's correct.
Like a name. Usually it's the names you have.
Usually I have problem with names. Yes. But this, oh my gosh, it's like, okay, so we get forward to the whiny, gripey little kid who then gets turned into a teenager and he just mopes around and whines about everything. Did this character grow up at all? Like, I would hope that they would show an older version of Coon as more of an adult, and we see who he became as a man later in life. That would have been amazing to see. It's like, okay, we get a glimpse into the future of who Coon becomes as an adult, but we don't. We see him as a teenager, and he's walking around in all black and moping around.
Okay. I'm going to jump in here because first off, don't judge him by that black suit.
Oh, I'm not. I mean, like,
because that's probably a male student's uniform in high school or college.
Okay.
Because that is kind of that's traditionally what you normally see in anime.
Oh, okay.
Of what the male student uniform.
Okay, so
the fact that he's got black hair and is wearing a black suit, that's just him being proper Japanese.
Okay, fair. But yes, but coming from,
we're gonna get to that.
Yes, let me finish. So coming from a Western perspective, coming strictly from a Western perspective, be like you see a young man or a young woman who's wearing all black, it makes you, it gives that stereotype of like, oh, he's being gothic or he's being mopey, and he's just
he's mopey.
Oh yeah, he's mopey. He's all out.
This I am not saying is wrong. I'm just saying.
Yeah. So just
I wouldn't judge by his clothes.
Yes. So just from the Western perspective, I didn't know that.
Right.
So just basing on my own experience. So thank you for that little lesson. And
it would have been nice if he was wearing a different color blazer.
Yeah.
But anyway,
maybe a little color.
Especially since it's summer.
Yeah.
We can see that in her uniform. So why isn't he wearing a male summer uniform?
That's a good question.
Anyway,
it also can reflect how he views himself, or he's just his mood. It just reflects who he is.
Let's go ahead and jump to that.
Okay.
Because this is my theory that comes back to that stupid tree.
A cellcast theory?
A cellcast theory. Thanks for listening. Anywho, that version of Coon that we saw at the train station that was telling young Coon not to get on the train.
Yeah.
That was Coon had he not gone through the bit of character growth we saw.
Okay. Yeah, that makes sense.
He's still not really happy with... He's so grumpy about everything he thinks he's lost. He doesn't remember this now because it's been years ago. But it's that feeling compounded on itself over time where he's just grumpy and hates the world.
Yeah.
I don't think we actually got to see a form of future Coon where he had learned the lesson and maybe had been a happier kid going through school.
Yeah, because it looks like more like the two times we do see that version of Coon in his either his late teenage years or his college years.
Yeah.
He's just be like, whatever, walks off scene. Yeah. Or he's trying to warn his younger self that be like, don't get on that train. And what I would assume, it's not that train particular, but it's talking about the dragon death train later.
Right. So let's talk my real issue with, and like I said, that's the issue. But the problem is, does that mean that the present day, we have a time bubble problem here?
Yeah. Because
on one hand, that tree makes it seem like we are now seeing everything from the kid's imagination.
Yes.
We see that with Yuko, the dog. We can kind of see that with Mirai from the future. That's obviously, he can maybe see that as an extrapolation of his future sister self.
Yes.
He saw a picture of his mother in that photo album. So I can see how he would then have, he could imagine running around with that version of his mother as a kid.
Yes.
Granted, I don't think he saw the picture of his great-grandfather before that happened, and that's where this starts to fall apart a little bit, this theory, that it's all in his imagination. Until we get, even up to the long black train, I can kind of go with that. Until they go into they go full Hosuda with the tree, and we see all this stuff that's obviously using his same way of, he showed the network and that one episode, that one thing in Digimon the movie.
Yeah.
The same thing he showed the time travel in The Girl Who Leapt Through Time, the same way he showed the internet in Summer Wars, and the same way he showed whatever the name of the MMO was in Bell. It's the same imagery over again, this time showing a family history, which then raises a question. Is this tree going backwards and forwards through time? Is his future predetermined to get to this point so that Mirai from the future can exist? Is she coming back? Who's at the present? Who's at the past? We don't know.
Yeah.
This is all thrown at us as in terms of visual spaghetti at the last 15 minutes of the film. And you're going, what? To some degree, it's like, oh, I get it. We're seeing all this other stuff. We're seeing how the family come together. It's kind of nice and kind of heartwarming. But then I'm sitting here asking the questions. Oh, no, wait a minute. This tree is the same tree from the whole film. From the first time he sees the prince all the way to now. It's the same tree.
Exactly.
Somehow it's the same tree even outside of his great-grandparents' house where they had the race.
Yeah.
I have questions, but I'm going to leave that part alone because there's more stupidity with this dumb tree.
Yeah.
Like, how is this tree that you call a information and family index?
Family index.
That's what they called it.
Yes.
It's like, how is this tree doing this? There's no way this kid's imagination is this good. This is obviously taking place outside of his imagination. This is legitimately happening. It's just nobody else is perceiving it, which means that's true of Yuko, his adventures with Yuko, his adventures with future Mirai, his adventures with his mother from the past, his adventures with his great-grandfather. The whole thing is all real for this kid.
Yeah.
they make it look like it's imagination, but we figure it's all real for this kid because this is how the future index thing must be working. And somehow the kid's able to go back and forth. And obviously, he must have shown future Mirai how to do this too at some point. Otherwise, she couldn't have come back to the past.
That is true.
So,
time paradox.
What is going on, Mamoru Hosuda? You did not explain. You introduced this stuff and did not want me to think about it, but you introduced too much, and now I've got questions. You went too Hosuda on this. You tried to give the Technobabble to do the magic hand wave, because that's all Technobabble is meant to do. It's meant to give you just enough information that you just go, oh, okay, that makes sense. It sounds technical enough, sounds goofy enough. Yeah, I can swallow this with a little bit of Technobabble dribbled all over it. That's fine. Except I have tasted good Technobabble. I have tasted bad Technobabble, and this is bad Technobabble.
Oh my gosh, that was good.
You did not. Your pet Technobabble did not explain enough to make me just accept it blindly.
Very true.
In the course of the movie, because I'm sitting there watching all this going on, watching with obviously copy-pasted animation too, by the way. It's like all you did was just show it from different angles. It's the same animation. You just showed it 7 times to show your transition between all these little moments. And it's like, I'm watching this going, how does this work? Why are you just showing us this now? This... Yes, you copy and pasted it, but this was still a very expensive animated process. You show all this. You designed 2 whole characters for just this sequence alone that we're expected to know as major characters, i.e. Yuko's mom and great-grandmother who had one line. I credited the voice actress for this one line, and it was just, oh yeah, I let you win the race or whatever it was.
Yeah.
It's like, you didn't if you're going to do this, there are 2 things. You either make sure your Technobabble is spot on, or you don't talk about what the crap it is.
Yes.
Because you said it's a family index, like the index, like the index at your local library. When did this film come out? 2018?
2018.
How many people... Granted, Japan may be different, but how many people, even if you go to a library, even know what the card catalog is anymore? They don't use it anymore. They have a computer so you can look up to find where the dang book is. Just, you got close. You got close to Soda. You got really close. But you kind of kicked it at the end.
Yeah, I agree. I agree with this whole notion.
You explained too much. You should have let me just think it was this kid's imagination.
Yeah, but then yes, I agree. That like you explained that so well. Be like, I'm not even going to touch it with the 10-foot pole. I'll be like that. That was intense. That was good. That was really, really good. That was good. Oh my gosh. Drew ranting. Yeah, Drew ranting at his best. Bravo, brother. Bravo. So my third dislike. Be like,
was it yours?
Well, no.
Okay.
No. Be like, well, I thought about it, and then you went into your rant about it. It's like, okay, I'm not going to touch that with a 10-foot pole because he just went over very well, very precise with a lot of behind it.
Let it be his imagination.
Yeah.
All it should have been.
I agree. No, I'm going to touch another part of this film I found very frustrating and very irritating. The transition between scenes. Be like there was like, okay, so we get the first scene where it's him and the dog. Okay, and it just jumps to another scene. I'm like, okay, what's going on? And then it's just like it goes from one story to another with no connecting points whatsoever. And it was like, I think it was by the second story, they got into the third story, and it was like, okay, you're like, in my mind, I'm thinking, movie, you're losing my attention. Be like, my focus is going somewhere else, because how the movie is structured, it's literally just segments that are not connected, like we said earlier. They're not connected in any fashion or form, except for little irritating little coon who doesn't learn a flipping thing until the last moment in the film.
Oh, he learned stuff. He just immediately forgets it.
Exactly.
Which means, was it learned?
Yeah, exactly.
If he forgot it, did he learn?
Yeah, exactly. But yes, the transitions in this film be like, I wish they would have gone in, they would have done something a little more, I don't know, a little more creative, and be like, oh, here's this transition to go into this next scene. But nope, it was literally, boop, okay, we're in another scene. Okay, what happened? And
this is me playing devil's advocate here, mind you.
Okay.
These were not taking place one right after the other. There was obviously
I agree.
They're between each episode.
Yeah, yes, I agree. I agree with you. I wish they would have given a little more transition time. Like maybe be like, okay, we're doing this or we're doing this.
At the very least, give me a what do you call it? When you show the outside of a building for like a quick second before you go back into the scene. Establishing shots. Give me an establishing shot and let me see that the time has changed just by maybe, assuming this is going from winter to spring.
Yeah.
Or winter to summer. Show the cherry blossoms blooming. This is Japan. You can get away with that.
Yeah. Do something creative in order to give me transitions.
Maybe have it's the sun coming out one morning.
Yeah.
Something like that, just to give me a clear delineation that we are now fully in a separate story at a separate time.
Exactly. So yeah, that's my third dislike of this film is the lack of transitions, that it just jumps into one scene after another. And I lost interest in this film probably by the third or fourth scene. The last episode, the last scene.
Well, that brings you right back into it.
It brings you right back into the story. And
because you're actually asking throughout most of that part, what am I looking at?
Yeah, exactly. What am I looking at? And then we get the terrible technobabble. What's really going on, which makes no sense. But we just heard Drew masterfully rant about that. But the transitions in the movie are terrible. Give me an establishing shot to where we're going, seasonal setups, whatever. Maybe there's a car outside and they're packing for a trip, and it's not just boop, right into the next scene.
Yeah, because most of the time it's like right into a Coon playing with his toys.
Yeah, exactly.
Every time it's like, but that's how we ended the last thing, was Coon playing with his toys.
Mm-hmm. So there's no real, they're not setting up. They're obviously they just cut to another scene or cut to another segment in the story with no transitions, and it's just like, okay. I mean, that's
the
my
closest film I can think we reviewed that kind of does the same thing, telling us stories of growth over a long period of time was Pompoko. But Pompoko, there was clear when you need to know there was a trend that time was moving on. They made that clear, and when it really didn't matter if you need to know, you could have gone either way. That made sense there. Here, it's just like half the time this could all take place in the same week if it weren't for the fact that Mirai's obviously aging between scenes.
Yes,
and half the time you don't even get a good look at her.
Yeah,
in some of those,
because it's just more. It's like
before Coon attacks her with a train
or attempts to.
Yes.
Yeah. All right, so that's my third dislike.
My third dislike. Why was baby Mirai about to get on the long black train? It made sense where Coon was going. I followed the logic there that he was doing this to himself, and it was he who was putting himself on the train to what they call it, the lonely place.
Yeah, the lonely place.
It's like, I could see that. That made a lot of sense.
Yeah.
And maybe I could think that because Coon is not doing his job as a big brother, that's what's putting baby Mirai in that same boat, that he is in a way leading her onto that train without meaning to. Okay. But I am stretching to get there, which means, why is baby Mirai about to get in danger of getting on the long black train?
Yeah.
The breathing long black train, which that was creepy in and of itself.
Yeah, agreed.
It's like, why is she there? Yes, you got to show Coon trying to save her, but honestly, why was she there? Even whether it's imagination or really happening somehow, whatever that mess was.
Yeah.
How is baby Mirai there?
I would throw.
I don't get it.
I would throw this theory out here, where it was more of Coon's, more of his depression of how he views life.
Right.
And so he sees the black train as be like, oh, I'm going off to oblivion. But then he sees his little sister, whom throughout the entire film he says he doesn't like. And he's learned all these lessons.
The reason he does not like her is because she's getting all the attention.
Yeah.
Granted, I'm trying to apply logic where this kid obviously didn't have any.
Yeah.
But from his perspective, shouldn't she still be with the parents and not anywhere near there? Because she just shows up.
Yeah. I was
in danger of getting on the train. The whole reason he's there is because he's lost.
Yeah.
Mirai's not lost.
Yeah.
Even from his perspective. Granted, if you had shown something to where baby Mirai was following him into all this, was learning the wrong lessons, maybe then I could somehow, granted, Mirai would have to be a little bit older for me to understand. Baby Mirai would have to be a little bit older for me to believe this.
Yeah, instead of a couple of months old.
Yeah, less than a year old. But it doesn't make sense the way they did it. It's just, baby Mirai is there. Yes, she is in danger of following Coon down this long line of depression.
Yeah.
If Coon were to keep going from here. I get that's what the film is trying to say. But it doesn't make sense how we got to that point. Because Mirai's not lost. Not yet.
Yeah.
You want to show me Mirai in the same boat? Show her getting on the train at the same age Coon is now. And for similar reasons, this is why Coon is now. Maybe there's a third kid that comes along. That's always possible. Maybe not. Maybe she thinks her big brother hates her. Yeah. And that's gotten her depressed enough that she wants to get on she feels lost enough to get on the train.
Yeah.
Do something like that. Not, oh, baby Mirai is crawling towards the train. What, we got Nell Fenwick tied to the train tracks too?
My theory on that is it's more of a test to Coon as a character.
I get that.
Yeah.
But it's a bad test.
I agree. It's a bad test. But that's the only thing I can think of.
Coon can recognize future Mirai by looking at her, by the birthmark, admittedly, and then he recognizes her the second time she shows up. But you're telling me he wouldn't have seen that birthmark on a 4-year-old kid too? Because it would have been plainly obvious. You see the birthmark on the hand. We all immediately know it would be Mirai.
Yeah.
And now Coon's got to keep Mirai from getting on the train for the same reason he was going to get on the train.
Yeah. He was getting pulled into something he didn't want to.
This is just me thinking, it would have been better had that Mirai been 4 and not a baby.
Yeah.
Because I just don't understand why baby Mirai was there. Because from his perspective, the baby was fine. And he didn't care about the baby. Yes, we got to prove he has to care about Mirai. But it should not have been baby Mirai, is what I'm saying.
Okay, so let me throw this out at you.
Because it's just not believable.
Okay, fair.
I understand what they're getting at. Don't get me wrong.
Yeah. Because it's more the not conductor, but the lost and found conductor. It's like, okay, he doesn't know whose parents are, but then he comes to the realization that he's Mirai's older brother.
Which I'll admit, I did not realize we'd never learned the parents' names throughout the entire film until it's asking, what is your mother's name?
Yeah.
What is your father's name?
Yeah.
Crap, even I don't know, and I've been watching this film. Because I never said it.
But in the same way, it establishes who Coon is, and he's Mirai's older brother. Mirai's older brother.
That's his identity at this point.
Yeah.
He's the older brother of Mirai.
Yeah.
And I get that. I get that's what the movie's trying to get at.
Yeah.
That's him coming to that point. My problem is
it
shouldn't have been a baby. The baby version.
Okay.
That's all I'm getting at, is because if you had made it just like a slightly older version, not Mirai from the future, not the junior high version,
but a
younger version, same age as him, I could have followed that a lot faster. It's like, this is someone in the same boat and he's got to save her.
Okay, so
he knows it's her. It's not like he saved somebody and then found out it was her.
Well, if
he wouldn't have learned his lesson that way.
Yeah. So if they would have set that up where we would have seen a 4-year-old version of Mirai, and he would have had contact with that version of her and saw her going being pulled onto the train, he would have done the exact same thing.
It wouldn't have been that hard because all you have to do is show her on the train he took to Tokyo Station.
Yeah, you would have seen her and they interacted.
They would have interacted. They may even been friendly with each other.
Yeah.
Before he realizes it's his sister.
Yeah, they realized be like, oh, that's my friend. And we realized like, oh, it's Mirai.
Yeah.
Be like after
do something like that.
Yeah,
that would have been cool.
Yeah, that would have been really cool.
Because
it's my friend.
They even set up the dumb train.
Yeah.
In the establishing shots, like, oh, I wonder what that long black train is. The first time I saw was, oh, it's the train to hell. Going to Tokyo Station. Guess what train you're about to be asked to get on, Coon? Because I can kind of see where this is going.
Yes. Because there again, the movie kind of it telegraphs where it's going.
In a way that makes sense.
Yeah.
I'm fine with the telegraphs.
Yeah.
In this one. It's just set up a little bit more.
Yeah.
With this final one. That's all I want.
Yeah, because then you have to reach into your imagination to figure out why is baby Mirai here, and like we just
I had to rationalize too much.
Yeah, it was way too much.
Baby Mirai.
Yeah,
it should have been like. Well, I've already said what it should have been. I'm not going to repeat myself.
Yes.
Anyway.
Yeah.
Do you have any more dislike? Anything else to bring up before we rate this film?
No. Let's rate this thing.
Would you be amazed if I said I'm giving it an 8?
Misa's Manny just went on a rant. Say what?
I actually do like this film.
Okay,
it's not great.
Okay.
Don't get me wrong. It's a fun watch. I get it. I understand what it's going for.
Yeah,
these are the complaints I've had for this.
Yeah,
I wouldn't call them nitpicks. It's just you could have done this differently and it would have been better.
Yeah, agreed.
That's really what I'm getting at with those. It's a good film. It just could have been a better film.
Yeah,
if you'd just done a little bit more work. And then maybe work on your Hosuda-isms there.
Hosuda-ism.
I'm just saying he likes to lean on things. He's that effect, that network effect, for lack of a better term.
Yeah.
That is his version of J.J. Abrams' lens flares.
You're not wrong.
Because he uses it.
Yeah.
I wouldn't be surprised if I went back to a random episode of Digimon the television series.
Nope, not there.
I'm saying, let me finish. I'm not saying it's there. I'm saying I would not have been surprised if. And I'm not talking about the movie. We already know about that movie.
Yeah.
But if there was a random episode that he directed, all of a sudden, boom, here's the special effect.
Yeah.
It's like, well, that's weird. Like maybe that would have been the opening theme song instead of them falling into the letters. Digimon, it's just them following into this big spheroid with random vector graphics attacking.
Well,
I'm sorry. That could not have been possible when he was on Digimon because that was before digital animation was taking over anime.
Right. The only thing
he didn't get to do that until Digimon the movie.
Okay. So I think he did direct. I could be wrong here. He could have directed, I think it's the 4th film, which would have been Digimon Adventure 2. Digimon 02, Revenge of Diaboromon.
Yeah, but that's a movie, not a TV show.
It's a movie. It's a movie because I don't think he might have directed something. I don't know.
He directed a lot of episodes from what I looked up.
Okay.
Digimon of the Digimon television.
Oh, okay. See, I don't remember seeing any of those because I've seen most of Digimon.
Well, I mean, it does not credit him, especially in the American version.
Okay.
Of which episodes he did. I just know that from looking up Mamoru Hosuda in the past. It's like, oh yeah, he did so many episodes of Digimon the television series plus 2 paths of Digimon the movie.
Okay,
because of the way those OVAs work.
Yes, fair enough. Anyway, I'm gonna give it a 7.8, 7.5. Sorry, 7.5. Because I got mixed up with your 8, so it's like 7.8. No, that's all right. 7.5. 7.5. Be like, it's a good film. It's a little frustrating here and there. You generally do not like your protagonist that much, but like you do see his growth a little, like a fraction of an inch towards the end of the film, and he kind of grows up into a big brother that actually does care about his little sister, and actually grows up. And the scene where he instead of whining and complaining that be like, oh, I didn't get the shorts I wanted, he actually decides to wear the shorts that his mother has prepared for him. But 7.5. But like it's a good film. It's got some story beats that are a little bit odd, why is this here? Why is this here? The technobabble makes no sense. The revelation that it's the family index, which made no sense. It was like, okay, let me try to rationalize this in my head. This is not working.
It was an excuse to show the Hosuda graphic.
Yeah, the Hosuda graphic.
Or whatever you call that thing.
Yeah, exactly.
Which, by the way, I just looked it up because I was curious. He directed one episode of season 1.
Okay.
Namely, episode 21, which was Home Away from Home.
Okay, that's a good episode.
And he directed episodes 20. This is out of order. 26, 28, 29, 30, 32, and 35 of season 2.
Interesting.
Just throwing that out there. So he did a total of 7 episodes of the show.
Okay.
Plus our war game, plus whatever the name of that first one is. Because it's in Japanese here, and I'm not even going to try.
Yeah. Golden Digifusion or something.
Kitaro no Yori Densha. Gegeke no Kitaro. Which that doesn't sound like Digimon the more I'm reading it.
No, it's not.
Maybe if they had C all.
It was Golden
Digimon Adventure. That was the name of the first short.
Yes, Digimon Adventure.
Digimon Adventure. Fine.
But yeah, 7.5.
7.5. Okay.
Oh my gosh.
Good, a goofy night.
Yes, it has been.
Next time we are reviewing a Muppet movie.
Yes.
But not an actual Muppet movie, but a movie,
Muppet does show up.
But movie with Muppets in it.
Yes.
And officially, the Sesame Street Muppets are Muppets.
Yeah.
In fact, they had, because it was created by Jim Henson, Kermit the Frog, who is in many of the early seasons of Sesame Street, which we are doing the Sesame Street movie. They actually have to, HBO actually has to pay Disney now anytime they use any of the episodes, any of the clips featuring Kermit.
Really?
They have to pay a licensing fee for those moments because the character is owned by Disney now. Isn't that fun?
That is funny.
I don't know if that's true for the couple of times the Sesame Street characters have appeared in Muppet stuff that is on Disney Plus.
Yeah. So who owns the Muppet? Not the Muppets, but the
Sesame Street is owned by Children's Television Workshop, who I think 5 or 6 years ago was bought by HBO.
Okay.
And they are under contractual obligation to still show that stuff on PBS, but they get like some sort of like HBO gets like a little bit of a exclusivity for episodes for like a little bit. I don't know the exact way it is, because honestly, do you know when the last time I watched Sesame Street was?
When I
was of age.
Yeah.
When Elmo was still new. And Kermit the Frog was still on the show from time to time.
Wow. Okay.
Before it was Kevin Clash, before he got in trouble.
Yeah.
I haven't looked. Is Elmo in this film?
No, Elmo's not in this film.
Yes! You want to know why I hate Elmo so much? Go listen to our Muppet Family Christmas episode. Oh.
Yeah, look at the
Neko, we already reviewed Dark Crystal.
Yes, we have. Great movie.
Anywho.
Yeah, so the movie we're reviewing is going to be
Follow That Bird.
Follow That Bird. I am actually halfway through that film right now.
Because you thought we were reviewing it this week.
Yes, I did. For some stupid reason.
And the thing is, we are actually being joined by a guest.
Yeah.
As far as we know. It's technically come or go.
Yeah.
But PaulJPowers.com did say he was interested in joining us for this, so we're hoping he's able to be on with us for that episode. And not still 100% certain why he wants to be on this one, but cool. Anyway, why don't we go ahead and play the bumpers, and then on the other side we'll get to talking about what we've been watching, some news, and some X-Men.
Okay.
This podcast is a proud member of Culture Box. Whether you enjoy geeky reviews, comedy, or original fiction, you can open up the Culture Box and find something excellent for your soul. Point your web browser to culturebox.media.
This week we suggest Playing Games with Strangers. Playing Games with Strangers is a family-friendly actual play tabletop podcast where indie voice actors get together and play tabletop role-playing games. You can listen to the adventures unfold as they roll dice, slay monsters, and have fun, all at playinggameswithstrangers.com.
The Cellcast would like to thank the following patrons: Ashley and Francisco Ruiz, Book of Gaming, PaulJPowers.com,
and not this
Melanie
person because I
Dubois.
still need to take
get
them
your
out of the
name on
thing.
the show, plus uncut episodes, early access to the Cellcast Plus reviews, and special art from Jacob, please donate to us on Patreon.
So, Jacob, I have a question for you.
What have you been watching?
Well, I've been watching dogs.
Well, I'm aware of that.
Well, we had a friend of ours who is part of our singles group who goes to a Bible study with us, said she had to go out of town. She had a family emergency, so she had to leave. And I dog said her before. And so, yeah, I've been watching her lovely little pooches for about a day and a half or about a day right now. Other than that, obviously I've been watching Follow the Bird, thinking we were actually reviewing it on tonight's episode, but yeah, I'm about 20 minutes into that. Other than that, what else have I been watching? Not a whole lot of nothing.
Really? All that time with the dogs?
Yeah, nothing.
No TV, no movies.
Let me think.
No people killing people.
No. Yeah, no, and no. I think I'm trying to remember. I watched something, but the name of the episode, the name of the TV show eludes me at the moment.
Well, you'll probably come to it once I talk about what I've been watching.
Yeah, exactly. So what have you been watching?
Good night. I've been watching a lot this week.
Yeah, I noticed.
In fact, one of them I think it might be the thing that's on the tip of your tongue, and that was live action Little Mermaid.
Dum 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 dum. Yes, I went and watched the live action Little Mermaid. Good night.
Yeah.
Sorry,
we're actually going to be releasing a reaction episode of that not here in the next week, so keep an eye out for that.
Yes.
Also, along with this film that we just got done watching, of course, I was visiting my parents over the weekend, and so a lot of Perry Mason got watched. Which, if you never watched Perry Mason, it's a good show.
I remember watching a little bit of it when I was a kid.
Granted, after a while, you're just like, oh yeah, I know what's going to happen here just from the quick setup. Somehow, Perry Mason's going to accidentally get hired by the person who's going to be murdered, or by the person who's going to be accused of being murdered before the murder actually happens. So he's on retainer, and he's not going to be able to get out there before Lieutenant Tragg gets out there. That's the guy's. It's always the police lieutenant that gets out there before him, and then they're all going to get in court, and it's going to be Perry Mason versus the district attorney, Mr. Berger. Why is his name Mr. Berger? It's a weird name. And then Perry Mason's gonna save win against his. He's going to win the case for his client because of he's going to convince somebody else, the actual murderer, to come clean. And apparently there was one episode this didn't happen, and that's because his client lied to him. And yeah, you kind of know that's what's going to happen, but it's like, yeah, I know the formula. I just want to see how we get there.
Okay.
It's kind of fun. But yeah, watch that. And then Wednesday, I got a chance to see a certain bug man on a motorcycle.
Yeah.
Shin Kamen Rider. Which, if you remember from earlier this year, I was on Henshinman helping him finish up the Kamen Rider that this is based on.
Yes.
And that's a goofy show. And the movie is a goofy movie, but it's a lot more serious. And it's... Okay, so yeah, this is the third of Hideki Anno's Shin adaptations of Tokusatsu properties. He started with Shin Godzilla, which came out in 2016. And then Shin Ultraman, which came out earlier this year over here, but it came out Japan last year, which of course was intended to come out in 2020, and we all know why that didn't happen. And then Shin Kamen Rider was supposed to come out last year, but because of the delays, because of 2020, obviously that didn't happen. So I was excited to actually see this film, and it's not a bad film. In fact, the action scenes, I thought had some of the best superhero fight scenes I've seen in any film in a long time. Marvel, you need to step up. The music was top notch. The acting was good for what it was. The writing needed some work. I still have a lot of questions, a lot more questions about Shin Kamen Rider's writing than I had for Mirai, by the way. Which doesn't mean I didn't like the film. It's just like, oh, you could have tightened this up a little bit. Actually explained some of this stuff before it just happened. Which, granted, Shin Ultraman kind of just had stuff just happen too, but because of the air of mystery around everything, it kind of worked better. But this is more grounded. Kind of all the cards are on the table from the beginning of the film. So the fact that we just jump from enemy to enemy kind of just very quickly just kind of just throws me off. So that's my thoughts on Shin Kamen Rider. Great. It was a fun film. Will probably still want to buy it for my collection.
Mm-hmm.
But of the three, I think it was the weakest of the three. Ironically, it started off. It for me is actually goes Godzilla, Shin Ultraman, Shin Kamen Rider in terms of quality.
Gotcha.
Which is ironically the same order they came out in, and I don't know if that is coincidental or not. But other than that, the only other thing I've had a chance to watch was the second episode of season 1 of Star Trek: Strange New Worlds, because I've got to get through that before season 2 starts at the end of the month.
Fair.
I'm going to have to step it up. Anywho, was Little Mermaid the only thing?
Yes.
All right, then Jacob, I'm curious now what we have in the news.
The Cellcast News with your host Jacob Heron.
All right. Why, thank you, Dealit. And going into the news, oddly enough, I was looking at the very end of my news and it mentioned The Little Mermaid, and it still didn't click earlier that I actually watched the film in Tulsa, Oklahoma with my girlfriend.
Shame.
Well, technically it wasn't Tulsa, but it was Broken Arrow, but nuance. So speaking of movies that are coming to theaters, there's been a new trailer for Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Mutant Mayhem. That'll be coming out August 2nd. I'm looking forward to it. It looks interesting. The design, the way it's animated, looks very good. I'm curious where they're going with it, because when they first talked about it, or at least Seth Rogen talked about it, it's like, oh, the turtles go to school. I'm like, oh, please no. These turtles do not need to go to school, or they get turned into human, and it's like, no, just do a turtle story.
We do not need this to be a Dragon Ball Evolution with turtles.
Yes, thank you very much. But it looks good, so I'm looking forward to that. So a film that I know that we're both looking forward to and getting able to watch is Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse.
Came out today.
It came out today. It is getting glowing reviews across the board right now. High praise from critics and earning eager awaited by fans. It is right now. It's already made $17.35 million just on its Thursday night release.
Wow.
Yeah, just that. Just wait, people, to see what this movie does. So, to put that in perspective, it is now the highest grossing. I think it's the highest grossing film, no, let me back up. This sets as the second best preview night performance of an animated feature, right behind Disney Pixar's Incredible 2, which premiered at $18.5 million and would earn up to $1.64 million worldwide, bumping Disney Pixar's Toy Story 2 to number 3, which earned $12 million for an approximate rate. So other than that, the live action Little Mermaid is in theaters. It is looking to it's breaking its budget right now, but there's conflicting stories of, is it doing well? Is it doing terrible? I've seen where it's already made $5 million. I've seen where it's made its budget back. And I've seen where people have gone to extremes of like, really be like, oh, because they don't talk about this, so we want them to talk about this, but you can't talk about this in any positive light. It's like, good night. Just go enjoy the movie, or go watch the movie for what it is and not expect everything, because there is this big thing going on right now with this film, because like some people got upset because they cast an African-American woman.
Oh, please. This is in the Caribbean. I live with it now.
Yeah, it's in the Caribbean.
I was a little concerned with it the first time I saw the stuff, thinking, oh, they're getting woke or something.
Yeah.
But the more I've watched, it's like, no, this is in the Caribbean. It works.
Yeah. And so
let it go.
And so
let it go, folks. Let it go.
And apparently, like, even to go further, is people are now
I have my own issues with the film, but
we'll
hear that on our reactions episode.
Yes. So kind of diving into that a little bit, there have been articles written, and I read one of them, which is the most ridiculous thing in the planet, because ever since some people were upset because they didn't show, because back in the day, in the Caribbean, people were not treated well. There was slavery back in the day, because that's an historical.
The point of the film.
Exactly. Because they're showing everyone's like getting along, kumbaya. No, they actually wanted to see
this is a fictional country. You're telling me you want me to show slavery in your fictional country?
Yeah.
That's trying not to die?
Yeah, that's what some people think.
Let's just save more of that for the reaction episode.
Exactly.
Talk about it here.
Yeah. So yeah, that's all I got for him for news.
I'm surprised you missed one thing.
What did I miss?
The Super Mario Brothers movie surpassed Frozen.
That's right. It did. Yeah.
It hasn't passed Frozen 2 yet.
It's past Frozen.
It's past Frozen, which makes it, if you don't count the live action Lion King film, which apparently Wikipedia does. It's the third most. It's a movie that's made the third most anime.
Right.
It's number 3.
Yeah.
Overall money made in the box office.
Yes.
For an animated film.
Yeah.
It is the third. It's made the third most money. It's still got to beat Frozen 2 and I think Incredibles.
Yeah, Incredibles 2.
Incredibles 2, yeah.
Yeah.
In order to get it. So that's obviously have slowed a little in the past couple months as it came out, or a couple of weeks as it came out on digital. So that means there's going to be a lot more people who have watched it who would not go to a theater anyway.
Yeah.
But here's hoping that it's not that I don't like those films. It's like, Disney needs to be brought down a peg.
Yeah. Yeah.
No matter what your feelings about Disney, they do need to be brought down a peg.
Yeah, I agree.
And having the Minions company, having Mario do that, this makes perfect sense, because technically there was a time when they had figured out that more kids of our generation knew who Mario was than who Mickey Mouse was.
Yeah.
Just saying.
Yeah.
Hey, I like Disney, don't get me wrong. I'm not happy with them this month, but then I'm not happy with a lot of companies this month. Too much pandering. Anywho.
That's all I have from the news.
All right. Then why don't we talk about some X-Men?
Previously on X-Men.
Meet the sulky, over bulky, kinda hulky superhero. Hot twisted and electrically transistored superhero. An exotically neurotic and aquatic superhero. The Marvel
official guys, Namor is rated X.
Spider-Man and his amazing friends, Iceman and Firestar.
X-Men season 5 again.
Technically season 3.
Yeah, it's because that's the thing. If you missed last week, and you're listening to this one, in season 3, the episodes start getting made out of order.
Yeah, a little bit
in the order they're supposed to take place in, and we're following chronological order, which is the order that's on Disney Plus.
Yes.
So our first one is Long Shot, from originally aired on October 5th, 1996. It was directed by Frank Squillance and Fred Miller. In this episode, Mojo uses Jubilee as a prize to lure Longshot and the X-Men into a deadly contest, which Mojo broadcasts live to raise ratings.
Didn't he have a problem with that last time?
Mojo does not learn his lessons.
Apparently,
He's worse than Coon.
Very worse than Coon.
In this episode, we've got Spiral and Ricochet Rita being played by Cynthia Bellevue, Gog being played by Howard Jerome, the Major Domo being played by John Neville, Mojo himself is being played by Peter Wildman, and Longshot was played by Rod Wilson. In this episode, trivia for this episode, when Spiral comments on the big purple lizard, Mojo responds that the kids will love it. A clear reference to Barney the dinosaur. Dinosaur?
Dinosaur?
What's a dinosaur?
I don't know. What is a dinosaur?
Keeping that in. Barney the dinosaur from Barney and Friends, 1992. Not the first cameo from a popular franchise we'll get this season.
Yes.
Camp Cretaceous is a play on Jurassic Park. The T-Rex and Raptors even make the exact same sounds as their movie counterparts.
They do.
This originally aired during season 5. This episode was actually intended to take place during season 3 between Phoenix Saga Part 5 Child of Light and Savage Land Strange Heart Part 1. Though it uses the season 5 version of the opening credits, the animation and art style is closer to season 3 than the lower quality style used in season 5. Due to the absence of Cyclops, Scott Summers, the events may take place concurrently with No Mutant is an Island. Disney Plus lists this episode as season 3, episode 10, which is where we put it. This episode features a new version of the theme song accompanying re-edited opening sequence. Sorry, mentioned that. This is the debut of Gog, Quark, and the Warwolves, which are metallic, organic, dog-like minions of Mojo. In other words, if the Silver Surfer had dogs. What are your thoughts on this episode?
Oh my god, I couldn't get past the animation. Oh my gosh.
Oh, I was watching
I was cringing.
And I'm watching Mojo, which Mojo did not transition well to this style.
No, he didn't.
Everybody else transitioned okay.
Yeah, fine.
Mojo, on the other hand, he reminded me of Mother Brain from Captain N.
Yes. Oh my gosh. Yes.
Oh my word.
Yeah. So
he's just not being played by Audrey 2 from Shop of Horrors.
Yes.
Which honestly, switch that out. I kind of want to see that.
But the
he is a mean green person from outer space.
Yes, agreed. But he's more yellow than anything.
In this art style,
yeah, he is more yellow. But yeah, Longshot has made his way to Earth, and he
has amnesia.
For some reason,
it's never explained why he has amnesia
at all.
He just has amnesia. Also, why in that one shot was Spiral, if that's apparently her name, i.e., the lady who pirouettes to cause trans-dimensional travel?
Yeah.
Why was she a prune in that one shot until Mojo grabbed her and made her young again? Did I miss something?
Well, apparently Mojo absorbs his mutant power is absorbing people's life force or energy.
That's his power? I just assumed he was a mean green mother from outer space who needed to make good TV ratings.
Good one. I agree. It makes sense. But so oh my gosh, that's what I understand is Mojo's power is absorbing other people's life force or energy. So
all I know is the more Mojo comes up, the more I wish I didn't see him.
Yeah, agreed. So there's oh my gosh, there are so many animation errors throughout this entire episode.
Oh, and this is the next episode is actually a worse one.
Yeah,
we'll get to it.
Oh, so I'm trying to remember. With this one, is it this one or the next one where Jubilee loses her coat?
It's this one.
Okay,
and what's weird is you see her in the cube, no coat.
Yeah.
Thinking, oh, this is the first time I've seen Jubilee without her trademark yellow coat.
Yeah.
It's like, that's weird. And then you get to another scene after she's escaped from the thing. All of a sudden, she's fighting in her yellow coat. So I'm thinking, oh, she must have picked it up. 2 seconds later, the coat's gone again. It's like, guys, pay attention to what you're doing. Please.
No. They establish it in the show where Wolverine has her coat.
So why did she have the coat? I missed that because there's parts of this I'm watching going, this is just weird. This is what's going on?
Yeah, because there's one scene, you see the scene before.
Why does Wolverine look like discount store John Wayne?
Thank you. I was like, what in the world is going on? So they set up where Wolverine has her coat, and then throughout the entire scene, you see little animations where she has her coat, she has it off. And there's one scene where it's Mojo versus Longshot, and where she's underneath the tree for 2 to 3 frames, she has her coat, and the next frame she comes back, she didn't have the coat on.
Right. It's like, guys, are y'all paying attention to what you're doing here?
Or Jubilee is running back and forth to try to get the coat from Wolverine, and then runs back and gives it back between frames.
Good night. I can understand this in a live action film, kind of, where they they had multiple shots for the scene, and then the guy editing just missed that the costume was different.
Yeah,
I can see this in a live action film. I cannot see this in an animated film. Why are you people not paying attention?
Fair. And what was it? Well, Wolverine's colors changed throughout it. He's not wearing a belt at one point.
Yeah, and a couple other things if I remember correctly.
Yeah.
Rogue was weird in this episode.
Yes, agreed.
And Hank does not look good in this art style either.
No, it doesn't. Saying. Oh my gosh, he looks more like an ape than a furry beast.
Mojo got it right when he said the man with a brilliant mind in the side of a giant blue gorilla.
Yeah.
It's like, he's not a gorilla.
He's more
Mojo. Beast is gonna go all Wookiee on you in a minute, Mojo, if you're not careful.
Tear your arms off.
Except, he does kind of look like a giant ape in this form.
He does.
In this art style.
He does. And the animation is so choppy. With what are they on 3s?
No, they were on 2s. The difference is we're used to the Jim Lee art style, which they are trying to do here.
Yeah.
But they have obviously simplified it a lot.
Yeah.
And I was reading, at least when we get to the rest of season 5, that's when they supposedly went to a style matching something Joe Madureira was doing.
Joe Madureira,
where it was more just anime influenced.
Yes.
And I'm like, I saw some of those shots and go, no, it's not.
No,
that's not what you're copying. You are just being cheap.
Yeah, well, that was the plan, but
that was the plan.
And they just went for this.
Failed spectacularly.
Yeah, exactly. This definitely does not look like mad art.
This is so. Here's the thing. When I was watching this, I got to realizing the reason this looks worse to me is not the animation itself, because the animation is concurrent with other cartoons of that day.
Fair.
SWAT Cats was animated similar to what we were seeing.
SWAT Cats. I love me some SWAT Cats.
You have to admit, that was being animated in the same style. Animaniacs was kind of being animated in this kind of style, for lack of a better term.
A lot
of major cartoons were.
Yeah.
X-Men was not made on this look.
No.
And I was doing some more reading. The animation company that Marvel was forced to use Simon was forced to use for this, because of how low their budget.
Yeah.
They actually also did some work on Batman the Animated Series. And the staff of Batman the Animated Series said that this company was the worst one they had that they had to farm episodes out to. And this is the one they had to use through all 5 seasons, but the character designer changed in season 5 because they wanted a simpler art style that was cheaper to animate.
Yeah.
I get it. Because the Jim Lee art, I can't imagine. You can tell there's times throughout all this where they are not animating the Jim Lee art well.
Yeah.
Throughout parts of the show. And it's still one of the cheapest shows, I think, for X-Men that was ever made.
Yeah.
But good night. This does not bode well for season 5. I knew season 5 was going to be bad.
Yeah.
But oh my word.
Yeah.
This is going to get really bad.
Agreed.
So next one.
Yeah.
Or did you have more thoughts?
No, it's just this was a bad episode.
The return of Mojo.
Well, the return of Mojo. I'm more like, can we go back to that? I think it was like season two, where
Mojo Vision.
Yeah, Mojo Vision season 2.
Which we got plenty of shots from this.
And then the all be like, oh, Jubilee has feelings for Longshot, and he just disappears. Or he disappears into the he's got to go back to Mojo World to protect his people.
I'm thinking, why?
Yeah,
I know nothing about Mojo's world other than it's based on TV ratings, and that Mojo is for some reason in charge.
Yeah,
but why do you have to go back? You escaped. Why?
Yeah,
and so what is Longshot's actual powers? He can see the future, or he's lucky. I can't tell which.
He's lucky.
There was one point where he was looking at Jubilee's coat.
Yeah.
Trying to determine if he could see a future for her.
Yeah, which was weird because that's not his power.
What are you talking about? He says, I can't tell a future for her. It's like, you couldn't tell a future for Wolverine, and he's the least likely to die.
Yeah, it was just like, what in the world? It's like, I understand they're trying to set up where Jubilee has more romantic interest in trying to get Jubilee more into the story.
And admittedly, despite the fact that Jubilee was made for this cartoon,
yes,
they've done very little with her character throughout this whole thing. She did more in the first 2 episodes, the Night of the Sentinels, which is literally her replacing Kitty Pryde.
Yeah.
Because that still should have been Kitty Pryde, in my opinion.
Yeah.
But Jubilationally, I know why the comics turned you into a vampire.
I remember hearing about that, or what, like reading.
I know why they did it, because you had nothing else to do.
Yeah,
you're worse than Dazzler.
Oh,
which I think Dazzler's coming up.
Yeah,
I was looking through episode titles. Like, oh no, Dazzler's coming up.
Oh yeah,
Dazzler.
The character which was designed initially for a movie, so they made a
live action movie.
A live action
Marvel was funding.
Yes,
so that they could make a comic book off of it.
Yeah,
and they were going to, even in that movie, connect it to X-Men.
Yeah,
why?
And the movie fell through, and then you got Dazzler.
The concept of Dazzler is stupid. She's a musician, which means has song and where she sings, and you're gonna read about that in a comic book with no way to hear her songs.
Yeah.
Why? Granted, I heard they were also going to have a record and pay some singer to actually portray her on the record, but that never happened.
Oh my gosh, that reminds me of Garth Brooks back in the late 90s.
It's like, how is it Garth Brooks was going to play Dazzler?
No,
I never assumed that.
No, so Garth Brooks he was working with, I think it was the musician Babyface.
Okay, I don't know who that is, but okay.
He was like an R&B performer. So he was directing this movie called
R&B.
Yeah.
Country R&B. That doesn't mix until you get to 2001 when they quit making country.
But nuance. So Garth was going to be in this movie called The Lamb, where he was going to play an older version of a character called Chris Gaines. So Garth decided, hey, this would be a great idea. I can make the pre soundtrack to this. So he made the soundtrack. The movie never came out, and he got stuck with it. So it sounds like Dazzler.
Hey, it could be worse. At least it wasn't. Was it Scarecrow? That last album he made under his old contract?
Yeah.
Was it Scarecrow?
Yeah, under Capitol.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's a dumb album. I don't even like Garth Brooks, and I say that's a dumb album. That was an album he put out to prove that he could release absolute garbage and then and it would sell.
Yeah, I agree, disagree, but nuance.
I'm just saying it's not his best work.
Yeah, because most of it's just covers. Yeah,
and it's sold.
Yeah,
and anyway.
Yeah,
not talking about Barf Brooks.
rough.
Cold Comfort first aired on February 4th, 1995. Not quite back to the episodes. We are still technically, because here's the thing. aired wise, it went from Dark Phoenix Saga episode 5 to the ones we're reviewing next week, which was Savage two-parter Savage Land episode, whatever the name of it is.
We're finally going back to Savage Land.
Maybe we'll get some explanation as to what's going on at the Savage Lands.
Yeah,
because I don't know what happened in the comics, and I kind of want the show to tell me, please. But all of that, those aired back to back, but not aired back to back. There were the 2 episodes that aired in sequence.
Yes.
Anyway, and then the episodes we reviewed last week and the episode we're reviewing this week are spread out across season 3 and season 5.
Jeez.
But they all were supposed to happen right here.
Wow.
Iceman. Oh, sorry. It was directed by Larry Houston.
Yes.
Iceman, a former X-Men, is caught sneaking into a federal warehouse. He is captured by his former team, but Jubilee tries to help him.
Of course.
Guest cast for this includes Jesse Collins as Iceman, aka Bobby Drake, Mark Strange as Forge, and Ho Chow as Katana. We do not know who voiced the daughter of a certain magnetic superhero villain, what we'll get to in a minute, or any of the other characters in this, because there's a lot of characters, or Havoc, which I swear did sound like the guy who voiced the Cyclops.
Yeah.
So I'm assuming that's who did it.
Okay.
That would make sense.
That would make sense.
Despite the fact they do nothing with it.
Yeah.
Outside the warehouse, getting into the trivia, outside the warehouse at the beginning is a sign that says Kirby Glen Storage Depot, number 1917. This is a reference to Jack Kirby, the co-creator of the X-Men comic books. 1917 was the year of his birth. Also, we get a number of shots when looking at Bobby Drake's history of the 1960s era team, including old designs for Cyclops, old designs for Jean Grey,
Marvel Girl,
Marvel Girl at the time, a hairless Beast, which that's an interesting design.
Yes, it is.
And also, we get to see them fighting.
I am Magneto, master of magnet.
Which raises an interesting question in terms of continuity. Why does Cyclops and Beast and Jean Grey not recognize him in the first season? And why does the Professor Xavier act like, I haven't seen this man in 30 years? Yeah, saw him 2 weeks ago, according to this footage.
Oh, that's great. That's great.
I know that's not meant to be taken seriously.
but still,
I'm like, first season, they introduced this character like he's been in the shadows for 50 years since the last time Professor Xavier saw him, back when Xavier could still walk.
Yeah.
And it's like, no, the old team fought him like 20 years ago, 10 years ago, before the current team, who's obviously been fighting with Xavier for years, started up.
Yeah.
Why does Wolverine not recognize him?
Because Wolverine was a part of the original team.
And you're telling me somehow, well, okay, admittedly, I do think Magneto did take a long hiatus before this technically starts taking place in continuity, even though this doesn't actually line up. This show does not line up directly with a particular era of X-Men, other than after Giant Size X-Men.
Yes.
Obviously, Phoenix Saga and Dark Phoenix Saga, it lines up kind of in there, but it also pulls from like different eras, so it doesn't quite add up.
Okay.
Either way.
Okay. So just
why did you people not know who Magneto was?
Okay.
At the beginning of the show.
So interesting side note. So while my girlfriend, her mother, and I were in Oklahoma, we visited Tulsa, Oklahoma. Yeah. And so we went to a Costco because they love Costco. And it was like, hey, I like toys. Can we go to the shop? Sure, no problem. Didn't buy anything. So there next door, there was a comic book shop. So me and Ashley went in there and looked around. It's like, oh my gosh, this is a different kind of comic book shop. So speaking of Giant Size X-Men, they had a copy of Giant Size X-Men #1 in the I guess you would call the glass.
Yeah.
it was worth over $55,000.
Yeah, that's a little out of my price range.
Yeah, a little bit.
You know, you can read that cheaper.
Yeah,
Comicsology,
easy. But yeah,
a little bit cheaper. Not worth anything.
Mm-hmm.
Not like the original print run of Giant Size X-Men.
Yeah,
the second appearance of Wolverine.
Yeah, I saw that cover too, and it was worth probably like $200,000
because Wolverine actually originally showed up in a Hulk comic book.
Yes, he did,
in a lot uglier looking costume.
Yeah, it was a bit odd. It was a bit odd.
Jim Lee improved that costume a lot.
Oh, I agree.
Even though it does look like two Batman kissing.
You're not kidding.
Anyway, yeah, we do get a certain brother of a certain one-eyed laser firing guy who's been a part of the show and should have noticed who Magneto was.
Yeah. Because you fought him before.
And the funny thing about, we've talked about Havoc a couple times because I knew that Cyclops' brother showed up some point around here. I didn't know when the character was originally created.
Yeah.
And I knew he showed up in X-Men Evolution because I remember that episode, but I had no idea he showed up here.
Oh.
And I liked the fact that they fight, Cyclops and Havoc fight each other, but their blasts, which are technically the same type of energy, do not affect each other. Because of course it wouldn't.
Yeah, because it's only playing the background.
Yeah.
It's not the foreground of what's going on. But you see it.
It's one scene. It is one quick scene.
Yeah.
They are firing at each other. Nothing happens. And Cyclops is going, why can't I hurt you? I wonder. Cyclops, Scott, you have met two family members this season.
You don't even know it.
How do you not recognize your own DNA?
Your own father? Come on.
I memean, granted, your father looked like Will Riker, and he should have been played by him.
Agreed.
Because that would have worked so great. I'm sorry, it would have.
I could just hear Xanato stalking his.
I'm just imagining. I'm sorry. I'm imagining. What is his name? His father's name, leader of the Starjammers.
Corsair.
I'm imagining Corsair walking onto the bridge of his ship, getting ready to sit down in the chair and lifting his leg to go all the way over it, and then sits down. I just can see it now.
Yeah.
In the same way that as a child, I knew that if they ever cast a live action Professor Xavier, Picard had to play him.
So he being his, never mind.
Because I didn't know many other bald actors at the time. Hey, this was before the era of Vin Diesel and Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson.
Yes.
Granted, I don't think either one of them could play Xavier either. That would be really interesting, though, to see Vin Diesel, aka not Vin Diesel. Yeah, Vin Diesel, because he plays what's his face in Fast and Furious, right?
Oh yeah.
I could see him sitting in that yellow.
Oh my gosh,
yellow wheelchair, going, "We must defeat Magneto." This is not a good movie. We must defeat Magneto, and you turn over, and Magneto is being played by what's his name? He just left.
What is the actor?
Oh, what the heck? Chris Pratt. Chris Pratt plays everybody else. He could play. Chris Pratt has to play not Wolverine, but has to play Beast. Chris Pratt's playing Beast.
Oh no!
And who would be playing Wolverine in this instance? Oh no, let's face it, Hugh Jackman.
Of course.
Danny DeVito. Yes, that's what we need. Super fat Wolverine. Hey, he's the right physical size.
Yeah, he's short.
He's too round, but he's short. Danny DeVito as Magneto.
Oh, Nico. But I think we got on a tangent.
No kidding.
You think? All right.
And who is playing the Juggernaut? That actually would be Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson. Why? Because why not? Anyway,
do you smell what the
juggernaut's cooking? Because it's his own sweat. You know how hot it is in this stainless in this cast iron suit. Why am I wearing cast iron?
Anyways.
Anyway,
we're going to look
Cold Comfort.
Yes, Cold Comfort.
The return of Iceman, the last remaining member of the original team who has not shown up on this show yet.
Yes.
Ironically, because Angel was a part of the original team in the comics, and he had no idea who the X-Men were when he showed up, because they immediately turned him into Archangel, and they had to introduce him for that story, and he was not an X-Men.
No, he never was.
In this show.
Yeah, in this show.
But yet, Bobby Drake was.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, but Bobby Drake is the worst character. It could have been worse. It's not Morph.
Yeah, oh my gosh, it's not Morph.
Thank goodness Morph is not shown back up.
Oh, brother.
I kept expecting, oh yeah, Morph's back in season 2. And he plays a big part through all season 2, even though he's in the background for the most part. And then at the end, it's like, where'd Morph go? Is Mr. Sinister driving him crazy down in Strange World? He got transported to Mojo World. That's what happened.
Oh, no. Just enough with Morph.
He's been playing Star-Lord. That is not his name.
Star-Lord?
No,
Longshot?
Longshot. He's been playing Longshot while Longshot's been leading the revolution.
Oh my gosh.
Anyway, guys, I think we have gone nuts.
Yeah, I think we have.
You have anything to add before we finish this?
No. The only thing I can think of this episode,
these 4 episodes have been the goofiest ones.
I agree, and I think it's doing us goofy. This episode was interesting. Oh, let me think. I'm trying to think with still breathing. It was interesting. Again, it was Jubilee gets a crush on a guy. He has to go away again. It's just like Jubilee just can't get a break with anybody. And then it was like, oh, X-Force it's a government run facility, and be like, oh, this sounds like good training. It's like, yeah, get your own men killed by facing the X-Men. Good job.
Also, we did actually get to see Quicksilver. This was his debut.
We
also.
did. Yeah. He never says anything.
Never says anything. And guess who? And Wanda is nowhere to be seen.
Exactly.
Why are we leaving out Wanda? X-Men. Did you not see what happens when you think you've ignored her?
Yeah.
In another show where she lost the love of her life.
Yeah.
A talking robot
who's
not going to show up in the show. Anyway.
Yeah.
I'm kind of curious what Wanda's doing right now now that her brother Pietro is in the show, even if it was 1 episode. Either way, next week we are going to be finally getting back to regular schedule of these episode releases and be watching Savage Land, Savage Hearts 1 and 2. So join us for that. And then do you know what happens in the following 4 episodes?
The Dark Phoenix Saga?
Yes. And now I'm curious, when Savage Land Part 2 ends, are we going to get to see a return of the dumbest graphic Saban has ever put on screen?
Yes. Oh my gosh. No.
Oh, that was so horrible. Anyway, join us next week for that. You have anything to add before we get out of here?
Can't we just get the Dark Phoenix Saga? Please.
Almost
there.
Patience, Grasshopper. Patience. In the meantime, this has been Drew.
This is Jacob.
And we'll catch you in the next frame.
You can follow Jacob on his Facebook at Jacob B. Heron. His Facebook page, Jacob's Daily Art Corner, where he tries to draw each and every day. His Instagram at Jacob B. Heron. His Twitter at Jacob Heron. And his Letterboxd at Jacob Heron. You can find Drew on Facebook at Drew Dodgen. His Facebook page, Drew's Photo Bin, to see his photography. His Letterboxd page at GGeorge759. His Twitter at GGeorge759. And Instagram at Drew Dodgen. You can like us on Facebook at the Cellcast Podcast. On Twitch at the Cellcast Gaming. On YouTube at Cellcast. On Twitter at cast_cell. The Cellcast can be found at Apple Podcasts, Google Play Podcasts, Stitcher, Spotify, or anywhere else fine podcasts are downloaded from. Please rate and review us where you found us, and also on Podchaser. Email us at thecellcastpodcast@gmail.com. The Cellcast is a proud member of both the Pop Americana and Culture Box media networks. For more information, please see the link in the description. Our theme song is Drop and Roll by Silent Partner. And remember, that's Cell with a single L.
You know, it's just like Mojo said. It ain't over till the fat man sings. The hills are alive with the sound of music.